We've got our guy Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7 on the line. Bruntsy, what's going on?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Hi, Brunsy. How we doing this morning? You hanging in there?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Chugging along. How about you guys?
Good.
Anything I'm missing this morning?
No. I hung out with a couple baseball guys and Tristan Alvano last night, which was kind of cool. Got a little glean a little more insight. Those guys are ready for. I think they're ready for a good homestand, right? South Alabama presents a kind of. Is it sneaky or is it just a good test?
It's a good test.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's a good team.
They have they've scheduled well this year.
Yeah, it's a good team.
They've scheduled well. So yeah, I'll be curious to see that they're going to have to deal with the real feel stuff, which they don't usually have to do. So that'll be interesting to see how South Alabama deals with that. But yeah, they're a good team, new pitching staff. So yeah. What else did you glean? I'm eager to hear what you gleaned.
Oh, we're gleaning things.
You can't leave that out there. And
so generally speaking, nothing I don't think you don't know. Like, you have a really good pulse. Like, I think they really, really like that grimy, kind of grindy. Like, I think they're excited about this year to kind of grow into that role. I think they want to be a team that kind of like wears on other teams' spirits. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Yeah, like, you can kind of tell by their temperament. It's just a grimy group.
It's interesting. I don't know who you were hanging out with, but
I didn't want to put them on blast, but I'll text you later.
Yes, a lot of JUCO guys.
Yes,
on this roster.
Yes,
and you don't want to you never want to put a guy in a box, right? And say this is kind of what they are personality-wise and whatever. But I mean, when you're riding buses through rural Kansas and playing 4 games on the weekends, they got guys that played JUCO ball in middle of nowhere, New Mexico. Overbeek was in Texas. Like, you kind of look at things a little bit differently, I think is probably the best way to put it. And I think they did that. I think the coaching staff kind of did that by design. I mean, they're a group of coaches that all went through JUCO or have coached in it or have some experience with it. And I think that kind of worldview aligns a little bit more closely with the types of teams they want to have.
I mean, Bruntz, you really got to love baseball to do the JUCO thing, right? Like, it is not a glamorous affair by any means.
No, it's not at all. And
that's in any sport, not just baseball, but especially baseball.
Yeah, especially baseball. It's a lot of games. It's some JUCO and baseball is one of the things too, where in football you get guys that bounce back. There's guys that have talent. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, in JUCO you see guys that are legit MLB prospects.
Yeah.
That are just kind of hanging around in the middle of nowhere, pumping 95. That's kind of what you see. So it's a different approach, and you got to really love it, and you got to really you got to be a worker to get out of there. I think it's probably the best way to put it, and I think that kind of aligns more with what Bolton and Steph want.
I like that. You got to be a worker to get out of there.
Kind of continuing with the culture theme, Brunsy. Last night, a lot of folks in attendance, like Josiah Alec and Dylan and I think I saw Luke Lindemeyer. There were a ton of guys, Alvano, football guys in attendance. But I thought it was pretty cool. And it's early, but so Danny, Luke, and Dylan, Kalen all kind of sat together with Chase Lofton. And I thought, not only was it interesting, right, with the whole Raiola and Lofton thing, a college guy with a high school guy hanging out, but I like the two quarterbacks spending time together. Is that one of those things where it's something about nothing and it's, spring ball's not for 2 more weeks, or do you kind of like at least the preliminary of, oh, that's cool. Like, I need for guys to get along.
Yeah. I mean, I think that helps. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you have 2 freshman quarterbacks coming in. I mean, they should still be in high school. And
both of them. Yeah.
And I think I think, you kind of get a sense of each of their personalities by how much they're kind of just around. I mean, I don't think that the description of either of those guys would be aloof. I mean, they're not, they get it. Like, and I think they, my sense is they genuinely enjoy being around. I could say that more about Danny Kaelin just because I've gotten to know him a little bit more than Raiola, obviously. But
yeah, he appears to be a good, really good natured.
Yeah, but I mean, like, think back to like last spring and this summer. I mean, how many times was Danny Kaelin in Lincoln just hanging out and helping to recruit and doing what he could? I mean, so it doesn't shock me that those guys are just kind of hanging around. And if you're going to have one of those guys starting for you sooner than later, I think it kind of helps to have the locker room kind of see him around and doing things and just kind of being normal, I guess, rather than this hotshot quarterback or somebody that thinks they're better than other guys on the roster. I mean, that kind of stuff matters, especially when you start talking cultures and kind of how Matt Rule wants to do things.
Yeah, Bruntz, it's kind of a weird dynamic, right? Because you kind of have to have this outsized confidence in your, like, if you decide to come to Nebraska as the best QB recruit in the country or as an Elite 11 guy or whatever, you have to have sort of an outsized confidence that you can be the one that gets Nebraska back to where they want to be. But then you also kind of, like you're talking about, have to have this humility of, I'm just another one of the guys. Like, that's kind of a strange dynamic when you think about it.
It's a really weird kind of cocktail of confidence and self-awareness that you have to have. And, to have to do that at 18, it's kind of like, at that age, it's kind of like you almost have it or you don't,
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of always been the thing that I think kind of impressed me the most about Daniel Kaelin, aside from the on the field stuff, is he just kind of had the personality that, he just was a really, well dialed in kid. And it's tough as a quarterback to do that. I think we've seen at Nebraska recently where quarterbacks have come in and maybe not, meshed really well with the locker room for a number of reasons. So that kind of, I guess, getting off to a good start there is really important. And I don't know, maybe it helps too that you have so many early enrollees that are around, that they're, freshmen, early enrollees, same age, things like that. I think that kind of helps a little bit too, because you kind of naturally have a group of guys that you can gravitate towards that are going through what you're going through.
Bruntz, I know you're going to probably, like, there's going to be some sarcastic comment coming. You don't strike me as a Big Ten standings watch guy, right? You're not like dialed into what other teams are doing, but are you envisioning Nebraska as a potential number 3 next weekend, or like where's your level of anticipation?
So whether or not we intended to do this, it just kind of happened this way. But BC has been like the tournament seeding scenario, Big Ten tournament seeding scenario guy.
He's been the guru.
He's got the big chalkboard up there. He's doing algebra. He's got the stat. He's got the little slide rule going.
Is he going like full Charlie Day on us with the strings and the whiteboard?
Dude, that is too smart. I just want to be a fly on the wall for with you in BC.
Yeah, so he's doing Big Ten stuff. I've been dialed into everything that I can find about what Bart Torvik is saying about anything. That's my purview.
Now it is cool how you can plug in some things. He has a very manageable site.
He does. So Torvik, I got to know at all hours of the night what Minardi's thinking. That's where I'm at.
So you're the bracketology guy.
Dude, I think I think Lenardi kind of trolls Nebraska.
I have to be careful how I say this, but Jerry Palm seems like the one that's been the lowest on Nebraska for several weeks now. Yeah. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah. Why do you have to be careful? Are you guys uniquely connected?
We're coworkers.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, is he
really
like?
Gotta be careful
is he
what I
watching?
say about that,
is he watching your kind of?
No, I don't think so. But
I could just imagine Jerry Paul just picking up the phone and be like, "Hey, listen,
yeah. Well,
hey, Bruntz."
That's my favorite football team is an AFC team, and I've got to be very careful about how I say things too. So, but no, I can back to your way original question. Yeah, I could see him as a 3. BC tells me that it's possible. You've got some other teams that have a little bit more of a tough road into the clubhouse. So I mean, if you're Nebraska, just go handle your business and let everybody else do what they're going to do. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's it's kind of wild. Like, I mean, if you go back to October and you're like, okay, Nebraska's got a chance to be a double bye, the 3 seed in the Big Ten. They've been in bracketology talks since essentially like the first week of January. Like, I hope that people really just kind of take a step back and appreciate just kind of the magic carpet ride that this season's been to this point, because there weren't a whole lot of people out there that kind of had this in their sights back in October and November.
You know, Bruntz, since you're doing the bracketology thing, have you kind of gone all mad scientist yet and been like, okay, you know, I know you mentioned Bart Torvik's side. Have you gone like, okay, if Nebraska wins here at Michigan, but then they lose this point, and because I assume you're trying to keep them either in that 10 line or bump them all the way up to a 7, which I think they'd have to win the Big Ten tournament to get to a 7. But so are you kind of doing a little mad scientist? Like, okay, what point do they have to lose in the Big Ten tournament to keep me at a 10?
It depends who gets there, I guess. And that's, I mean, maybe once we kind of know on Sunday how everything shakes out, you get a better idea then. But it doesn't feel like there's going to be, like, there's not a ton of movement unless they just win the whole thing. You know what I mean? The Big Ten tournament. Like,
sure.
Like, I kind of struggle to see them getting to a 7. I mean,
they'd have to win it to get there.
Yeah, they have to win the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, and even to get to like an 8, you know, that feels like a tall order right now.
We don't want that anyway, Bruntzy.
No, you don't. You want the 10
or the 10 or the 7.
My fear is they like make it to the Big Ten championship game. That bumps them to an 8 or a 9.
Stop.
And then you're in no man's land.
You don't have to do that with them. It's a good team.
I know, but that's not a good spot to be in. You can be a good team in a bad spot. That's a real thing.
The thing, calm down. The thing,
right? Simmer down, Ravi.
The thing you don't want. I mean, a couple of the bracketology guys have had Nebraska in that 7-10 against BYU for like 3 weeks now in Salt Lake City, and I don't believe, and they say they would do it, but I find it hard to believe that Nebraska has any shot of playing in Omaha as a 10. Like, it's not in the cards, I don't think.
It's funny you say that, and I'm not gonna sit here and believe you are, you know, religiously listening to the show, but I've been talking about BYU for like since I've been back, because I see what you see. So and I stayed up last night because Ding Dong Ravi texted me about the ending of the BYU game. So I had to come home from Lincoln and start over. And I'm like, well, what is he talking about? Because he wanted to talk me off the ledge that Iowa State could be a good team. So I'm like, oh, gosh, I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And 27 hours later and no sleep, I'm like, I don't want to play BYU. I think BYU is pretty good, even though, Bruntzy, their metrics are very similar.
Yeah, they are. And there's a couple teams that Nebraska, if they're in that 7-10, like if I think it just because it lines up with my just kind of the way my sleep patterns work. I end up watching a lot of Mountain West basketball.
Good on you. Good on you.
I would not want to see a couple like Boise State in the 7-10 would scare me a little bit. Just based on
heck, they're not going to be a 7 or a 10, but I wouldn't want to play UNLV. I wouldn't want to play Colorado State. I don't want to play any of them.
As a Creighton fan, I can vouch for that. You don't want to play either of those.
Dude, Colorado State's good.
Yeah, they are.
Nevada won't be a 7, but I mean they're a tough out. But I mean those types of teams, like there's a chance that if you go in as a 10, you're probably seeing a really veteran, battle-tested Mountain West team as a 7, and that's I mean I think Nebraska would be fine in those situations, but I think it would be a street brawl. for lack of a better word.
Ravi poo-pooed me, so I'm just going to ask somebody with some actual sense, even though you guys kind of have that Millard North thing. If I don't tell me who you think's going to win it, tell me who you think should win it. If I give you, and this is on the heels of Purdue beating Illinois, but if I give you Zach Edey and Connect, who's Bruntz's player of the year?
In the Big Ten. I mean,
No. Just in general.
National
player of the year.
National. I'm a lazy voter. It'd probably be Edey, right?
See, oh my gosh,
and that's
you're not a lazy voter, Bruntz.
I'm not a basketball voter in general.
This is hypothetical. What about Bruntz crunching numbers daily screams lazy? Oh my gosh, you know who the fourth guy off the bench to pinch hit for Nebraska is, and you want me to think you're a lazy voter?
There's a finite amount of brain cells that I have.
And gosh.
I can only dedicate it. I can't dedicate it to the national basketball conversation.
This is my point. This is my point, because
I can't believe he used the term lazy voter. It plays into your wheelhouse.
There's a difference between being lazy at your job, which Bruntz is not, and being lazy voter in the sense of, hey, I don't cover this. It's hard for me to be aware of it nationally. Like, right, Bruntz? Like, there's a very different thing.
The guys that are voting cover it.
I'm also trying to avoid getting yelled at. That's something that I say here. So,
well, I mean, DB just yelled at you anyway. So, I mean,
I know. Here's a like talking about lazy voters. Is Fred Hoiberg the Big Ten Coach of the Year?
100%.
Yes, he should be.
Do you think he will be?
I think it's like a coin flip with him and Collins.
Thank you, guys.
So are you worried about the whole Northwestern vibe thing? Because Northwestern had a good record last year too. Nebraska came from further along. It should that's not lazy. That's pretty easy to see.
I wonder though if people look and say, well, we'll just give it to Matt Painter or we'll get to Painter because
Matt Painter's lazy. Well. That's being lazy.
Yeah, that's what I mean though.
Yeah.
Like how because you start talking about like, okay, first team All Big Ten, second team All Big Ten. Where does Nebraska's guys fit in? I mean, it's a lot of
they may not have any on the top two teams,
right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you're a more dialed in voter, perhaps you would be more willing to consider Bryce Williams or Rink or somebody like that, even though the stats aren't going to be as flashy compared to other guys in the conference.
I like Bryce. I'm a Bryce Williams guy.
Well, that's why we need Mike DeCourcy and guys like that, because he actually pays attention. He said, "Bruntz, I think you're trolling me, because you used a term that this guy's been resting all his laurels on for weeks, and you just casually said lazy voters. He doesn't want to give any humans any credit. He thinks they're just innate. He just thinks we're innately lazy when it comes to awards."
I've seen too many awards be awarded lazily to think otherwise.
Yeah, this is actually one that I think I can stand on Ravi's side on this.
Finally.
And he doesn't like to, right?
Well, you have so many hot takes.
Well, no, it's not just that. I think there's like a little brother dynamic here. Him and my big brother were friends, so he's seen me like grown up. So I think there's like a little part of him that's like, I don't know if I can agree with little brother here.
That's cool. You had a chance to slap him down, and he drops the term lazy voter. Jiminy Christmas.
Listen, sometimes I'm so right that it just can't be refuted.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bruntz. Yeah, I'm glad you got this whole. It's going to be an enjoyable next 40 minutes with this clown.
Yeah, sorry. You're not going to be hearing about this next week at all, are you?
No, because he's not a receipt keeper.
I let go of things so quickly. Just let them go.
I do need one. I do need one subtle prediction for you, Ravi.
Okay.
If I give you the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, give me a team that was in the playoffs last year that will not be in the playoffs this year.
Diamondbacks? Is that a hot take?
I think people forget that they won the World Series. Or they're the pennant champs.
They're in the World
They're
Series, yeah.
they were in the World Series,
Yeah.
I should say.
Yes, people forget that. They do. It was a little bit of house money last year,
Because
right?
they weren't very good. Like, I mean, they were
Right.
fine.
Wow.
They were they're an 80,
Ravi here for lazy takes.
they're like an 80-win team. Like during the regular season, they weren't that good.
Yeah.
Are right now, as things stand here in the start of March, are they second best team in the NL West? Third best?
It's hard for you to buy the Padres, isn't it? It's hard for
It
me
is.
too.
Yeah.
It is.
So you're obviously putting them behind the Dodgers, even though they dealt the Dodgers fits last year.
Yeah.
I would give you second, probably.
Yeah, they're probably.
Okay.
I mean, probably. I'm just off. Bruntz, are you a big run differential guy?
Oh, here we go.
Generally, yes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna toss this out there. The best teams last year were in the plus 200-ish, high 190s, plus 200 range in run differential.
I get
Where
it.
do you think the Diamondbacks
Here we
were?
go.
I have no idea.
They were minus 15.
Okay.
Do you know who I thought you might say, Brunsey?
That's pretty bad.
I thought you might say the Brewers.
Yeah.
That staff is kind of decimated. You got a guy that's probably going to miss a season. You moved Burt. Like, I think the Brewers are in, and Council's in Chicago. I think the Brewers may be in trouble.
That's a good one. Who comes out of the NL Central then?
I don't know, man, but I think
somebody has to.
I think legally they are obligated.
I'll
to have
tell you
someone.
who's going to have a bounce back year, and that's the Cardinals.
Yeah.
They're not going to have back-to-back bad years.
I don't know.
That's not true.
I don't know. We'll see. That's our guy, Michael Bruntz.
Thanks, Firestarter.
Husker 24/7. Listen, I'm very reasonable. I'm probably going to let this go. I wouldn't worry about it.
Oh yeah.
Start the fire, walk away.
Yeah.
Start the fire, walk away.
Yeah.
Just throw the match.
Thanks,
Bruntz. We
Brunson.
appreciate it.